Welcome to the first episode of Late Night Riders. Today we'll be discussing why we wanted to start a podcast and introducing you to the family behind RAMM Horse Fencing and Stalls. Debbie has been involved with horses for over 50 years. She is the founder, president, and owner of RAMM for over 30 years. Kristen is Debbie's daughter and my mother, and she has been riding by Debbie's side since she was 6. Kristen grew up around family business and is currently working in marketing and accounting. Trevor joined the RAMM team this May and is our branding and graphic designer. Welcome, everyone.
Hi. Hey there.
Hi.
So the reason for this segment is we wanted to talk about why are we doing a podcast.
Well, I think Gretchen brought up a really good point when she joined us, and she just said that we need to talk about lifestyle of every equestrian. You know, we all do all kinds of things. Just because we're equestrians doesn't mean that we don't have other things that are really interesting to us.
And in a way, it's like a spinoff of yourhorsefarm.com, which is our blog, which talks about everything from fashion to nutrition to sweet little Christmas stories or whatever.
And a lot of factual things, a lot of things that are instructional for helping with, your horses and your farm.
It's kind of like taking the script from the blog and making it a reality, like a TV show kind of.
And we wanted to interview experts and have people that are knowledgeable in their different areas to talk about things.
So for over 30 years, I mean, if you think about it, really, we've been here. And we've had so many different equestrians that we've talked to, just unbelievable situations and wonderful stories from people, and life stories that are just, have blessed us all and done so much for us. So in talking to those people, I think all of these different things have been brought together. We've always felt like we're a wheel with the spokes and the hub in the center. And all the spokes are everybody coming into us, telling us so much information. We have so much information to give that I think that that's important to be able to share that.
So could we talk about Mike and how innovative he was?
Well, I think from the time that Mike was young, he always told everybody that he was a business. Whether it was from the time that he was quite young, he used to deliver pizzas over by Toledo University. And his service, he tried to, present the pizza so well that he'd get bigger tips. And
he was the only one who got tips, he said.
Okay. So he started at a young age. I think he started at like maybe around 12 or so. And then...
Wait, some background information on who Mike is. Mike was my grandmother's husband, my grandfather, and he joined RAMM. My grandma started RAMM, and then he joined later. And he recently passed away.
Yep. So, but he ended up, his grandfather was a businessman, and his father and his brother, and then they had like 3 generations of a company that they ran that was huge, and it grew greatly. So Mike had a good grasp on business and understood wholesale and retail as well. But then also had a great ability to be able to see that it's important to take care of people and to really do things right when you work with people, be it, purchasing products and carry good products. So.
And he put RAMM on the internet before the internet was really a thing.
He did. He talked about that, way before the internet was even, a word that people talked about. And so I think his innovation, too, was in the horse world as well. I think we see a lot of things in the horse world that kind of stay, status quo, so to speak, or whatever. And I think he always liked to kind of, draw outside of the lines, so the color outside of the lines. So I think what we do is we're carrying that legacy on, and also looking at what can we do to serve the horse community. And actually, we're real people. We're just real people. But the thing is that, we hear so many stories and do so many things ourselves, even as equestrians, that, are just real everyday things.
So he was a real businessman. Anybody who met him, some people were kind of intimidated by him until they got to know him. He was a joy to be around. But he was an avid reader. He was not college educated. he took one college class, and during that class, the teacher asked him, or the professor asked him, if he wanted to teach the class. So he was much, much more than any college student could even. I mean, he was a thinker, and a visionary, and always was looking into the future and what could be done better.
It's kind of like, because you said he started the website before like anybody else was really into that, and that just makes it easier for the customers. And that's kind of like what we're doing now with the podcast is we're trying to get information out there in a more easier kind of way.
Yeah,
And
a
we
real
have-
way,
Yeah.
a real way instead of just.
And
you
we
know,
have so much information. We want to share it with
Yep.
people.
Yeah,
It's just
definitely.
easier for them to access.
So trying to be out in the, a step ahead or whatever and offer things that help people. That was Mike's big thing too, is always how can we help people? And so we're going to continue that and continue forward with it. So, hence the blog and then the podcast and experts that we'll bring in and topics that we'll talk about that a lot of people wonder about, but maybe they don't even talk about it.
So what topics will we be discussing?
What do we have so far? What have we talked about that we would do? We've talked about even like, I think, specific disciplines that people ride. It's so faceted. We have so many disciplines in the horse world. It just goes from one end to the other. We'll be talking about even different horse breeds. That's another thing. It's just, again, so very faceted. And then people's ideas. Again, somebody might have an idea on one specific thing, like maybe even what supplements you give to your horses, but somebody else may come in and have another idea. So gathering all that information together, I think, is good to be able to sort out what works best for your horse's particular needs, because everybody has a farm or horses that need something specific. We're not all like square pegs and square holes. I think we need to look at what works best for you and your horses, and then kind of like when you have sometimes trainers or people that tell you things, they help you out so much, but then you find too you have to curtail it to your specific farm.
Right.
I will say too, not just disciplines and horses, and it's the lifestyle. It's clothing. It's we have the Mod Equestrian, who is a contributor on our blog. We also have our bank, who said that they would come in and talk to us about things that you can do when you're purchasing a farm, or even some things to protect yourself for different things. So it can go all the way from something as simple as lifestyle to something that when you're trying to purchase something, your farm, you have that information available to you.
How about coffee? Everybody gets up in the morning, drinks coffee, and walks out to the barn or whatever. What kind of coffee does everybody like? It's a simple thing, but what do we do?
Starbucks.
Yep. I second that.
Get out of here.
So,
Support your local coffee shop.
Yep.
or you could have your own coffee maker, like I have, Mila, and then that's very good coffee.
Or,
Gretchen?
Or a Chemex or a pour over, or, we're not going to get into this. This will be a different segment. Tune
So
in.
that's another thing where we will talk and discuss.
We're a
these
little
things.
passionate
that's
about our
where
coffee.
We are, yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, let us know if you have anyone that you'd like to hear on our show. Email us at podcast@ramfence.com. And if you have any topics you want to hear about, we would love to know. We'll be taking a short break, but when we get back, we'll introduce you to the RAMMily, and we will discuss how we all started riding. There should be some great tips for our listeners coming up next.
This podcast is brought to you by RAM Horse Fencing and Stalls, the one-stop shop for your horse farm. RAM is family-owned and operated and has been in business for over 30 years. We welcome you to call in and speak with an expert about your next project today at 866-653-8984. Again, that's 866-653-8984.
For our second segment, I'm joined by Trevor, my mother, and father. Kristen is Debbie's daughter and my mother, and has been riding by Debbie's side since she was 6. She grew up around the family business and is currently working in marketing and accounting. My father, Paul, has been involved at RAM for over 25 years. He started as an account manager and now works with many aspects of the company, including product development. Welcome, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
So, Mom, what was it like growing up in the family business?
Well, from the time that I was young, my dad's family owned a business, and so I think it's a 24/7 kind of mentality. You're always working, and I think you learn a lot of things from that. You learn a very good, strong work ethic, and you learn to serve others as well.
Right. So, was it like hectic all the time? Were people in and out?
With the company that my dad was involved with before, even Christmases we would have to go down and check the store and things like that. So that was more retail. They had a lot of holidays and things that you just really didn't truly get to enjoy the whole entire holiday. Now, when my mom and dad started RAM, we had quite a few people, that would come in and out of the house because they started it inside of the house. So it took a little adjustment for us kids to, understand that we had to be a little more quiet and be mindful of them in the house.
So when you guys started dating, Dad, what was your thought on the family business, being around it?
Well, I didn't even know there was a family business until after I went to pick her up on the first date. I actually went to the wrong house, and the lady's like, well, I said, the girl said all the white fencing, and I went to the wrong house with the wrong fencing. And when I pulled up, it was this huge fencing job the whole farm was fenced. It was, from what I came from, it was a real eye-opener when I got there to pick her up. And what I can remember at that time was her mom and dad were always working. It was even at 9 o'clock at night, they were out in what we called the dog kennels at the time, faxing customers and working on estimates and going to customers' properties. So at that time, my interaction with Mike and Debbie was very little because they were in the office quite a bit working. And so
when did you join RAM?
I started off, I'd worked at a grocery store through college or through high school, and then I went into the military after high school. And when I came back from the military, I picked up at the grocery store some hours, and then I met Kristen at college. And when after we started dating for a while, her mom and dad asked me to help out. So I would help out when they didn't have forklifts or anything like that. And so we hand unloaded full semis of trucks. So me and my friends, and then they had another guy that worked part-time in the warehouse. We would, when big semi trucks would come in, we'd come in and hand offload them. So that was my initial start at RAM, and that was just kind of part-time and whenever they needed it. And then after we got married, I think about a year after we got married, I started full-time in sales.
2 weeks after your birthday, after your birth date, that he started full-time.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So, can you guys talk about a writing experience that you had?
Oh, we sure do have one.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come into the Disbrow family, we were we were very involved in the horses, and I started out riding Western when we were younger. That's what my mom rode. And when we moved out to White House, we had friends who showed us how to ride English, and I just took to English like there was no tomorrow. I loved it. I loved the jumping. We did fox hunting and all sorts of things. So we were very courageous. We would do just about anything. And when Paul came over, I was like, well, you've got to get on a horse, just like all of us. You just jump on a horse, and it's not a big deal, and, take him around. He was doing really well. And, I thought you were doing really well. Did you feel comfortable on the horse?
Yeah, sure.
And so, me being the courageous one, if I could have gotten on, I'm 5 foot tall, and if I could have gotten on the tallest horse that I could find, I would have jumped the biggest jumps that I could have jumped. So I was I had no fear. And I just thought that everybody was the same way, that they had no fear. So I took Paul over jumps. And it was an eye opener for him in all sorts of ways.
Well, I didn't think it was really that big of a deal at first because I'd always rode motorcycles as a kid, dirt bikes and stuff. So, getting on a horse, it's kind of the same thing, similar, but when you realize you really don't have as much control as you think you do, it turns into a whole different experience.
Yeah, the horse is alive.
Yes.
It's living.
Yeah.
And I was like so much in love, and I would have done anything for your mother at that time,
And
I did. I would do anything, So like, I didn't have any fear of anything at that time. I mean, I was just so, I don't know, smitten, I guess is what you'd say.
Yeah.
You still are.
So Trevor has a riding experience that he'd like to share.
Well, it's not really much of the writing part because, it was like in high school, I think maybe junior high actually. And we went to like this writing,
Like a camp?
I don't really know all the terms, but
Trevor is a little
camp.
new to horses.
Yeah, I know what horses are, so that's good.
That's a start.
And that they're living, I know that. But I went to the camp, and we all got on the horses because we were going for
a trail ride.
Trail ride, is that what it's called? Okay, a trail ride. And I got on my horse, and then a few other people got on theirs, and then mine decided to be the first one to poop. So I wasn't the first one to get on or off or like gallop or anything, but I was the first one to have a horse poop. So that was nice.
That's a natural thing, and it's just a good thing. The horse was just like, saying, "Okay, I'm ready to go," and
well, it was funny because I was following the other people, and their horses were pooping while they were trotting, and mine just decided to do all of it
to
right
do business
then.
first.
Yep, which is all right. I can appreciate that.
I always grew up around horses, so I just assumed everyone knew as much as I did. And when the first time Trevor and I went to go take photos of the horses outside, he referred to the paint horse as the cow, and that was eye-opening for me.
That not everybody knows.
Yeah.
What was the Dalmatian one? Was that correct? Is that a Dalmatian horse?
The Appaloosa?
Okay, so no.
Okay. So my question for you, Dad, is if you're a horse owner, why choose RAM?
Well, a big thing with owning horses is maintaining them, taking care of them. And you spend so much time and energy with taking care of them, vet bills, the expense of just even having a horse, not only just taking care of the horse, but all the equipment you have to buy, saddles and bridles and, the clothing and a lot of the time that you spend with your horses is, it's a time to have fun. And who wants to spend that time repairing fences or fixing, broken stall doors or, just general maintenance? The world has come from, putting wood siding on homes to using vinyl siding and more advanced products to lessen the maintenance that are needed on things. And RAM, we carry our products that are innovative. We have lifetime warranties on some of our plastics, 25, 30-year warranties on materials. And it just makes life as a horse owner much easier. You get to spend more time with your horses, more time with your family, rather than fixing things. And I think the other big thing is that we are a one-stop shop. Not only can you can get your fencing, you can get your stalls, you can get your barn lighting, you can get your fans, you can get your flooring. We have pavers, we're even carrying electric wheelbarrows now to make things easier. So, if you're trying to save money and you're putting together a whole plan, we can be a one-stop shop for you, which will not only save you on the cost of the materials, but the cost of, shipping everything to you.
Not to mention, our products are, you put it up once, it's there forever.
Yep.
Do you have anything else that you guys would like to talk about?
I would second that. I would say that when we were younger, my mom and dad bought my grandparents' property, which had wood fence at the time. And I mean, I remember being young, and that was an acre, which is not very much. But I will say that, during the summer, painting that board fence, instead of being able to, as the one time I remember, really being upset about it, a birthday party, everybody's coming to the birthday party, and I'm still out painting the fence because I wasn't done. And so I would say that those things, not having to worry about those things and being able to go and check your fence, every maybe season, every quarter that comes, checking your fence, making sure that everything is in place, and being able to go and get on your horse and not have to worry about it. That's the things that I think that are important. Stall doors that don't close when you're trying to feed the horses really quick and get them in, and you've got some place to go. If your doors are shutting nicely and smoothly and everything in your barn runs really well, it makes life a lot easier, and you get to do the things that you want to enjoy.
Right. All right. Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We're going to take a short break, but when we get back, we'll introduce you to the rest of the family.
Do you love horses and live the equestrian lifestyle? Be sure to check out our brand new blog at www.yourhorsefarm.com. We publish 3 posts per week and feature a free printable equine checklist every month. Yourhorsefarm.com is a great equine online resource, so be sure to share with all the horse lovers in your life. And remember, laugh much and ride often.
For our second segment, I'm here with Trevor, Mikey, and Sam. My Uncle Mikey is the head of our welding division at RAMM. Mikey is married to Sam, and they have recently started From the Sticks Co., where they find objects in nature and they turn them into stylish home decor. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so Uncle Mikey, what was it like growing up in the family business?
Nothing but joy and wonderful things. I think a lot of challenges, a lot of things that I think you don't have, in just your typical work environment. The dynamics of the family, you have the dynamics that you have outside of the workplace that are already there.
Right.
And then, within the company, things vary a little bit as well. So I think it's been a lot of learning. It's been nice that we have such a great place to be able to work at and to be able to follow out the dream and the goals of how this was initially founded.
Right.
I think that's what's fun about it, and being able to have the freedom and liberty to come up with own things and be able to set the standard or set the quality of what we want to be able to have to make sure that it lasts for whoever it is that's using it.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about growing up and because at that point you were younger than my mom and aunt, so it was going on the whole time that you were growing up. What was that like?
Yeah, so about 6 years old. I think I'm on payroll somewhere starting 7 or 8 years old. And those were hours earned. That was not some sort of allowance that was given. I started as a gopher out in the field. So, when we were building fence, I would go for water or go for concrete or whatever it was I had the ability to carry across the field. And as I got older, those items got larger and heavier. So starting off working with the materials, working out in the fields, being around it, really gaining such an understanding of how it all works and what the animals are going to do to it, because we had our own farm. So we would try these products out and put all of them up and make sure that they could stand up to, the daily abuse and daily use of horses. And going from that, and my mom, she started it out of our basement. She had a word processor and a fax machine, and a lot of tenacity and determination. She wanted to make sure that everybody had, a great product, that they had a good experience, and that when it came time to be able to build their dream farm and to put the things into play that they had thought of for so many years, that it would come out with a great result, and it would work out well for the animals and for the people that had the farm. So seeing that grow and being beside that, watching it go from just a small horse farm to turning the old dog kennels into our offices, with a wood burning stove, and I walked one of our horses into the office one time when she was on the phone with a customer, and walked right up to her desk with one of the horses, and she didn't miss a beat. She carried right on, got off the phone and was like, "What are you doing?" And we took it from there and went to this old sort of abandoned turkey farm and rehabbed and poured just hundreds and hundreds of yards of concrete and did a lot of work, a lot of construction on all the buildings, so that we could have a good place to be able to operate out of. And I think it's neat to see all of that change and see from where we came from to where we are today.
Yeah.
And I tell people over in the shop that we are so fortunate to have forklifts and to have the hand tools that we have and so forth. And they look at me, sort of sideways. And I say, when we started this, we didn't have a forklift. We would have a post truck come into the horse farm, and my dad, he would take and throw chains around the posts, and we would take the tractor and drag those bundles of posts off of the truck, and sometimes the bands would hold. Most of the time the bands broke, and you'd have 30 posts that would spill all over, and we had to pick each one of those up by hand and put them back into the bundles and take them out back and stack them all up. So going from not having really any tools to work with aside from just a lot of tenacity, a lot of determination, a lot of we're going to make this happen, those were the tools that we started with. And now having the right tool for the job, having a nice forklift, having really good lighting, or having a warehouse where we don't have to go deal with tarps or anything like that, much more deeper appreciation for those things, certainly.
Yeah. So Sam, I asked my dad the same question.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel walking into, not knowing about the family business and then, becoming part of the family and the family business is around all the time?
How did I feel about that? Yeah, I didn't really know much about, I don't know much about horses. Don't know.
Me
so
either.
Yeah. So it's for me, it's been a great learning experience, actually. Just to be around horses in general, they're amazing, they're beautiful creatures. So just to be around them is cool, and just to learn what you actually the actual terms and stuff. And,
yeah.
I freaked out the first time one of the horses, what is it called, neighed. But
Sure, yeah.
But no, see, that's even wrong.
Well,
That's
a
wrong.
whinny or a neigh.
Yeah. And I'm like,
yeah.
whoa, because they did it at the
She about jumped out of her boots, seriously jumped and turned around and was like, what? It was just like the movies.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah.
It's just like the movies. So I don't know. It's been super cool just to get to learn about another, about horses in general, and about all the products and. But coming into the family, I mean, to be quite honest, you would never know that you guys own a really successful business, as in you're all super, super humble and very loving and welcoming. So it was, I mean, it was awesome coming into the family,
Yeah.
It was really nice. So, yeah.
Do you want to talk about your first riding experience?
Oh, dear. Yes, sure. Well, okay, so I have to say, like, my very, very first riding experience, I was like a little kid. My parents' friends had horses, so I think maybe I rode horses like 3 times when I was little. I mean, I'm talking like 4 and 5, so it wasn't really riding; it was just really sitting on it, you know.
Right.
But then when I started coming around your Baka's place, I actually had a couple lessons, and it was amazing. Like, it was completely different from what I remembered it.
Yeah.
You know, obviously that was a very long time ago. I was 5 years old. But I think like my biggest challenge with it, I grew up playing team sports my whole life, right? So
Right.
when you throw me into a situation where it's just me and my brain, it kind of sort of throws me, you know. You're up against yourself. So I wouldn't say it's like a huge challenge, but like I think of anything that was probably, you know, like I'm a perfectionist as well. So if I don't get something the first time, I kind of get angry at myself. So I was like, okay, I got to do it this way and I can do it right. And, you know, like, so it's just kind of me against my own brain kind of thing. And, you know,
Yeah.
doing it properly, writing properly, and doing the calls properly. So yeah, but it was fun. What?
You're just cute. Do you have a riding story for us?
Oh, there's probably a few. I think the one that maybe you're getting at the most memorable. Are you speaking
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
She has no idea what you're talking.
No, I really don't.
No. When we were really, really little, I do not remember how old I was. I was little. I was probably, you know, right around when I started working, maybe 6 or 7, somewhere around there. And for the record here, I was not working full time or anything like that.
It wasn't child labor.
Well, it was. That's what your papa, he loved it so much because when you have your own children in the business, you don't have to pay them time and a half, and you also don't have to pay them like the standards. There's actually some different standards that go with having your own kids work for you. So we're working on having a whole army of them because we're gonna have like free labor here at some point. But,
What? Like you and I?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
a whole
yeah,
army, huh?
Yeah. But nonetheless, I that totally threw me off.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
It's news to you.
I did not work my entire childhood. I actually had an awesome childhood growing up on that horse farm and being able to play around the horses and in the creeks and in the pond and you know, the seasons change in the woods that we had. I mean, I had an awesome childhood where I grew up. I did work with a company though, and I did you know, help out with those sort of things. And when we needed to all pull together to do something, we did. Each and every one of us had our part, and we helped out. The most memorable experience though was probably in that time of I think I was maybe 6 or 7, and your Baka and Papa, your grandparents, my parents, they were going out for the evening, and your mother, who was, you know, she was sort of like a second mom to me, she being the oldest, she was told that, you know, I think it was something along the lines of, you know, do not get out the horses, or obviously do not put your brother on a horse, anything like that.
Right.
And so, you know, what do Mindy and Kristen, what do the two sisters do as soon as our parents leave? We go out to the barn and flip on the lights in the indoor and get the horses out. And you know, it's sort of vague because I was pretty little, but I remember that I was on this little black pony named Queenie, and yeah, she was one of those real spirited ponies, one of the ones that has, they say, personality, right? Yeah, she really liked to do her own thing. And so I was on Queenie, and we had a lead line going from your mom's horse, going from Kristen's horse back to Queenie, and I was back on Queenie, and we were riding around in the indoor, and oh yeah, you know, we're having fun and everything's good. That lead line came loose, and Queenie noticed that it came loose right away, and she took off. She took off full barrel as fast as she could go in this indoor, and I was, obviously trying to hold on, and I think I was probably screaming, and I don't know what to do, and they're yelling, like Queenie, yell ho and pull back on the reins, and so somehow I wound up starting to slide off the saddle, and I leaned forward and put my arms over her neck, and I just kept sliding off the saddle, and shortly I wound up with hugging her neck. And I was underneath of her at this point. I was looking down and saw her front hooves just going as fast as can be. And, of course, things really got amped up at that point. And I somehow managed to swing myself back up onto the saddle with her running the whole entire time and got Queenie stopped. And everybody, the dust settled and everything was okay. The little boy... The only little boy after, out of all these girls in the family, because on both sides here, it's just all girls. I was like the little boy out of all of them. And so I was okay. Everything was all right. And we put Queenie away. And I don't know how the news was broke to my parents, but I know they weren't too excited about it. But that sort of set the pace or the trend for how my life was. I really like to go full throttle and kind of push things to that level of, can we accomplish this? And I don't remember exactly how the quote goes, but, the only way to really experience where that edge is to, of course, go over it, So.
Yeah. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about your company that you just started?
Sure. We just started a little business called From the Sticks Co. We are taking items found in nature, materials found in nature, wood, copper, flowers,
rocks,
stone, and we make those materials into home decor items. So we have a little store on Etsy, and we've been doing some little, I don't want to call them craft shows, but I guess they're craft shows, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, around town, and so you can find us on Etsy and Facebook as well, From the Sticks Co. Don't forget the co, the CO part at the end, because you might not find us without it. So
we love Northern Michigan. We love the outdoors. I think the both of us really have an appreciation and a passion to kind of get out and explore and see what nature has to offer. And Northern Michigan especially, we love traveling all around up there. And there's a lot of really neat things that you can find with different rocks and agates and minerals. And when you get up into the Upper Peninsula, copper and all the birch forests and all these different textures and sort of feels and looks and so forth. And we loved bringing that stuff back and incorporating it into the home and kind of making it, putting our take on it and giving it that warm sort of cool feeling. And so a lot of people, for a few years now, people see stuff that we do. And we like it. We're happy with it. But it's just something that we wanted to have sitting there. And people make comments about it. Oh, my gosh, where did you get that? We'd love that. You guys, they find out that we made it. You should make these. You should sell this stuff. And so after a while, we were just like, hey, we should. We've got... We sit every time we make something, we might as well just start making two of it, and then see what goes. And yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, last question. If you're a horse owner, why choose RAM?
Well, I would say there's a large. The reason to choose RAM really is because of our roots, because of who we are, and because of what we have and what we offer. Our products are going to be of a higher quality standard. Even our entry-level products are going to be of a much higher quality than what you would find certainly at any sort of commercial box stores or anything like that. And even with our competitors that we have out there. Certainly everybody, comes to the table and brings their own take to it. But we come from the angle of we want to have longevity with the products. We certainly want to have them be as safe as possible, and we want to have them maintain their cosmetics and be as nice looking as they can for years to come. And as being horse owners and having those experiences of of we're in the north, so having the water freeze up in the wintertime and dealing with that sort of thing, it doesn't matter if it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's, or the day does not matter, or how sick you are or otherwise. When the water freezes up, the horses, they still need water, and you have to deal with that. These different things that we go through the experiences of, we seek out, if it's not something that we make ourselves, we seek out the absolute best that we can find on the market. We'll go through and look at not only the function of it, but certainly the price point as well, because things need to be affordable, yet still a good quality base to them. And we go through and look at the different factors of it, and we try it out and make sure it works well, and then that's what we'll offer. So we're going through and doing that research and going through the process of eliminating what really is not going to work and what is going to work best. And that saves anybody from having to go out and do that. And in a market that is so saturated with just everything and anything you want. I mean, you can get any single option of whatever it may be, of what you could ever consider, and then you could get it in any color or otherwise. And so I think when you have so many choices, sometimes it's really hard to narrow down what's going to be best for you. So we go through, we look at that, we do the research, we do the work, and we're going to offer you the best products at the best price point that are certainly going to last the longest and be the best or the safest or the best functioning or whatever it is that product needs to serve a purpose for. We'll make sure that it's the best that you can have. When it comes to the products that we make, hands down, we, especially with our stalls, I oversee all the manufacturing of the stalls and so forth. And I think, a lot of even the local guys that come to work for us, there is a different mentality when you walk into our shop. We're one of the cleanest, most organized shops in this area, and especially for the size business that we are. It's not something that you typically find. And that's something that came from your papa. Taught me that at a young age, that you keep the environment clean, you keep it looking nice. It changes the way that people will work. When we used to go out on the job sites, and us, I feel like we really still pay attention to things. But when you go out on a job site and the grass is tall and there's trash all over the place and things are just not kept up whatsoever, the people that go out there to work don't necessarily do as nice of a job as when you pull up to a fully manicured place. And it doesn't have to be high dollar. It's a matter of how you take care of it. When you take care of every single little thing, when somebody drops a nail or when they drop a staple or they drop a little piece of plastic that they stripped, they're going to pick that up because it's going to stand out like a sore thumb. Whereas when you're standing in 2-foot tall grass and there's wrappers and bags and stuff around, those things aren't as noticed. So our ethic, the way that we operate is much different, and that changes the quality of what you're going to get coming out of our shop. So when they come in and everything's well lit and they have, again, going back to the tools, they have nice tools to work with, because I'm really I believe that when you have the right tools for the job, you can do it better and more efficiently. So having the right tools, having good ventilation, having a really nice, clean, organized shop, these guys really take a lot more pride in their work, and they're happy to be out there in an environment that's a lot safer and cleaner and nicer than many of the other steel shops around here. So with that, we have a higher quality. We certainly take pride in every single piece that we have our hands on, and if we don't, we make sure it's the best. So it's a long answer to it, but I will say that when you come to us, when you look at our products, you're going to find really the best at that price point. And it's going to be much more on a, how do I say this, much more of a professional level than a home or hobbyist or even like a entry-level commercial. We're just going to have a higher grade. It's going to be a better standard.
Yeah. Can I add something to that?
Go for it.
Okay, thanks. So I already said I don't know anything about horses, and I stand by that. But I do know about customer service. Mm-hmm. And in a world that customer service is like dying, which is super sad, this company goes over and above with customer service. I've gone on trips with him around the country to visit customers and to check on progress of stalls and whatnot. And I've been over at Debbie's house in 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. She's calling a customer just because their customer service level is like top notch. So just from my perspective, from somebody who knows nothing about horses, their customer service level is like amazing. So,
well, thanks for joining us, guys. We'll be taking a short break, and when we get back, we'll introduce you to the rest of the RAMMily.
This podcast is brought to you by RAMM Horse Fencing and Stalls, the one-stop shop for your horse farm. RAMM is family-owned and operated and has been in business for over 30 years. We welcome you to call in and speak with an expert about your next project today at 866-653-8984. Again, that's 866-653-8984.
Welcome, everyone.
Hey there.
Hi.
Hello.
So, Aunt Mindy, what was it like growing up in the family business?
It was busy. We learned to be very flexible with our time. I was involved with quite a few smaller things to start. I got to start by stuffing envelopes and sealing them and putting stamps on them and labels.
Yeah, I remember doing the catalogs and putting the stickers on the catalogs and then putting them into the bags for the shows.
Yeah. And then I got to start helping count inventory in the warehouse. And I think that's how I started working in the warehouse. Then I graduated to pulling orders and driving the tractor.
I never made it that far. I got to pull orders, and I was not allowed to count inventory.
Yes, I had to. And I was really like the warehouse girl in the family.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up really working in the barn a lot, too. So I
You were the barn girl.
learned how to drive the big tractor and pull the manure spreader at quite a young age. We had how many horses? Like up to 27 at one point that I took care of. Yeah, just 27. And
we were boarding. We were boarding horses.
we were boarding. Yes, we had other, horses in the barn, but it was quite a chore.
Lots of people in and
a
out.
lot of people in and out. Met a lot of different people.
You had too at that time. You were able to ride and do things, riding and so forth.
Yes,
too.
a lot of
So
riding, showing. It was a lot of fun. A lot of
Yeah.
lessons. Yes, I was just talking about that with a new horse friend of mine recently about just some of the funny things that horses do and their different personalities.
Yeah. So
things like
then
that.
you went to college and you got your degree in art and started teaching.
Yes.
And now you have 3 kids and you're doing art things at home.
Yes, we do. I got my degree in art education and taught for many years. And when I had my children, I stayed home with them, and we do projects when we can. The kids love to paint, and we do get out and ride when we can too, which is a lot of fun. My youngest is definitely my animal lover by far.
Yes.
She just loves
Your horse
animals.
girl.
You've probably seen some of those pictures posted too of her with the little
With Muffin.
Miss
the mini
Muffin.
horse.
yes, the little mini horse.
Miss Muffin.
Yeah. So, what tips would you give our listeners who are new to horses or riding?
I would say have fun with it. Don't be too serious about it. Enjoy your time. Have a good brush box. I think that's I always loved. I know one birthday I got a brand new brush box with brushes, and everything I needed in it, and that was mine. And I just loved it because every time I went out to the barn, I could just get my little box and carry it over. And even if you can't, don't set your expectations too high. If it's something new for you, you might not make it out to the barn as often as you like to until it becomes more of your routine. But even just being able to go out and pet your horse or brush them is good for one day sometimes.
Yeah.
When you have those days that you can ride, just take it all in. Take in as much as you can of it.
Yeah. What would you say to other moms? Like, how do you get your kids started riding?
I think just being around them, having the kids around the horses, being in and out of the barn, taking them with you. You when you have children, you really can't that's another area. You cannot set your expectations too high when you have children, and doing things with horses. It's not going to be quite the same. All children are different. Some are they tolerate, a lot of, have a lot more patience than other children. Some want the attention and, need more interaction. So when you're working with horses, you just have to know it could go any way. You could be up for any
Anything.
excitement that day.
Especially when all three want to ride at one time.
Yes,
or,
when they're all three and they're busy.
Yeah.
But, they've helped clean stalls and help feed the horses and water the horses and brush them. They love to brush the horses. We also have a friend that he has a barn, and sometimes it's easier for me to take them there because that way I can watch too while one is on a horse and have that extra help. That's nice too.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add with tips that you would give to people who are new with horses or riding?
I think probably the thing to do is find somebody that has a really nice horse, a really good horse, bomb-proof, like we say, which is hard to come by, but still on the same hand that you give them the best experience you can the first time out. I've heard of a lot of people that will take people or kids and just put them on a horse and say, go, and you can't do that. So if you teach them the safety steps beforehand, don't stand behind the horse, watch out, don't get under their feet, keep your hand flat when you feed the horse, that type of thing. Teach them the basics. There are other things that I know go along with that as well too, but I'm just for a few things. And then how to pet the horse, not to pound on the horse, but to pet the horse. A fly can land on a horse and they can feel it, so be careful with your horses, be kind to them, respectful, and teach that respect right from the beginning. And then I think after that, making sure that when the person or the child gets on the horse, that you take the time to tell them what to do, so to speak, when they're on the horse, and to relax, and then go go forward and walk.
Yeah.
And not just take them out there or say, go ahead, ride in the arena or whatever, but be by their side or have a lead on and walk beside them until they start to get the feel of the horse. But I think kids pick it up so quick.
They do.
They just are naturals, I think. I think we as adults, it's more that you have to tell an adult, relax and just have fun and, enjoy it. I think adults worry about what am I doing, the whole time. But kids just kind of get on and go. And so the horses sense that. They know it. And so I think just, going out slow and really taking time to explain it to someone.
Yeah.
The baby steps.
And I think
Safety.
even if, you've taken a break from riding and it's been a couple years, I know for me, it was a couple years, and getting on a horse that was bomb-proof gave me confidence to start riding again.
Exactly. Yep. I think that's important. Don't put a young rider or an adult or a beginner on a green horse. It's not a good combination if they have no previous experience whatsoever, unless for some reason, I'm sure that someone would say, well, that happened with me, but it went just smoothly. Some people are naturals, other people just are not. So, you can't, you need to be sure that you're making sure how that person is with the horse, how it goes, with them.
So for people like me who are not
Trevor,
with all
we're
the
going
terms
to get you on
and
a
everything,
horse this summer.
I know a green horse obviously means a newer horse, not trained all the way.
Yes.
What is a bomb horse?
So a bomb-proof horse, not a bomb horse. But
Not a bomb horse.
Yeah.
You don't want a bomb horse.
So a bomb-proof horse really basically is one of those horses that they're probably tend to be a little bit older, but have had a lot of experience, so that if a piece of saran wrap goes flying by, they just look at it. They don't jump and scare from it. A bird comes by, they just look at it. They don't do anything. Basically
Loud noises.
anything that could scare a horse or whatever. They just it happens, and they just stand there and kind of go, oh well, and that's a good
Because
horse.
some horses actually get scared at water or mailboxes or
Cars,
a car,
noises.
a tractor driving by.
Let me just say, Piper is terrified. Our dog is terrified of pool toys floating across the pool. Terrified.
Yes.
So horses see things like that
yeah.
too, and they're afraid. But other horses that have had a lot of experience, they just don't.
Doesn't
doesn't
faze
bother
them. They're
them.
very laid back, and a lot of times they'll babysit. Especially, I've noticed, teaching my children to ride and having them around the horses more. Some of the horses actually babysit the children, and their demeanor changes when the children are on them versus the adults.
It's like they know.
They
like
know.
they say that
know.
about
They
dogs
sense
too.
it.
How like
Yeah.
dogs and
They
horses
do.
can sense that. Too.
They're very, very, how can I say, open to feeling emotions. Like, I mean, you can walk down the barn aisle in the morning and they'll sense and know if you're happy or sad or whatever. They'll know. So that's a lot of people that don't know horses don't give the horses enough credit or realize what they do pick out and what they do know. So, Min, do you remember, I don't remember quite as much maybe as you do, like you'd come home off of the school bus and I'd be working I guess we started in the house and then to the dog kennel.
Yes. Yeah.
So what was that like from your side? I know what it was like from my side because I would be like, be quiet,
I remember bits and pieces. I remember like one time we had a phone that had two phone lines on it, and you could hit line 1 or line 2, but if you were on the phone with a customer and we made a phone call, you could hear us talking to our friends. And so we had to have a little talk about that and not to be making phone calls. And when you were
social.
working, we were very social.
Quite social.
And also because you were working in the basement of our house, we would come home from school and we probably just sounded like elephants running around.
Because it was like you threw down book bags or books
Right.
and then boom, 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 down
And
the
you'd
hallway.
be on the phone with customers making phone calls, and that would
they'd be.
kind of fill in your
Yeah, I remember that
phone
too.
calls. But
Yeah, exactly.
I know Grandma, your mom was with us too, and I remember, during that time when you were just starting out in the dog kennels, she was living with us and helping, and we would also help make dinner and things like that too. And then, like I said, we would have little jobs out there. We got paid, I don't remember.
What
like
they
a
were
quarter
exactly.
for a certain amount of time or something.
Big money then.
But that was, it was. But that was, starting with the envelopes and the pamphlets and folding and stuffing and putting labels on and
Yes, I remember that
sealing
too.
envelopes and things like that.
Yeah. And then we moved into the dog kennel. That was a big thing when we were doing those things, and it was just a different time, So, but it was fun. I can remember you coming in like after school. You maybe go into the house, and the house was a distance away from the dog kennel too. It wasn't really close.
It wasn't next door.
It was a distance away. So you guys had to come out there then and work on your homework while I was talking to customers, making calls, and so forth.
Yeah, we did.
Yep.
It was
So
fun.
and horses. You guys would ride and come right up to the window when I'd be talking to people.
We would. You had the window that was right. The horses would come up and put their heads in your window.
Yeah,
Uncle Mikey was saying that he brought a horse into your office.
he did.
While you were on the phone
He
with the
did. He
customer.
walked right in with, I think it was Playboy. Walked right in, and the horse didn't do a thing. That was a bomb-proof horse, and he just walked right in with him because the floor was just concrete.
It was
I mean,
concrete.
It was. We didn't have per se an office. It was a
Over
pole barn
time,
building.
Over
Yeah.
time, you renovated it to make it more of an office
took time.
space. But
Yeah.
it was a
Yeah.
slow process, but it worked.
People would come and, I would, take care of their orders or whatever if they came to pick up, and if there were even posts that they needed and things like that, I'd go back and load them. It was quite the thing to do a lot of loading and things like that for everybody, but it worked out well. And that was on Ram Road. That's how we came up with the name for the company, Ram Fence, Ram Road. So,
Yeah.
We were busy though. I mean, you would be working in the office. We'd be, messing around with the horses, riding. We rode a lot. We had a lot of people in the barn, and
we had people who were from, like, dressage people that were pretty, their levels were very high. Some horses that were in that had been high-level dressage horses.
There
and then
were.
we had, I'm trying to think, hunter jumpers. And then we
Yes.
also had trail riders, people that came in. Quite a
Just
number
pleasure.
of horses. Yeah. And quite a number of different people, too. So it was quite a, just a lot of things going on all the time.
we had a horse show at our house one time too.
We did.
That
we
was
did
really
have a
fun.
horse show. We
yeah.
did.
At Ram or
Yes, on Ram Road.
because we did a couple
Was the
in
whole-
Bryan too.
Whole horse show.
Yeah,
and
well,
then we
this was
did
a
that too, yeah.
yeah, not a training so much,
Like a clinic.
a clinic so much as it
But
was
we had a real horse show.
a real horse show, and
That
you know
was
the
fun.
equitation classes and jumping classes.
Are we gonna have one here?
Well, who knows?
You
That
never
could be
know.
Yeah.
that could be at the, something that comes up in the future. Who knows? So,
So my final question, I've asked this to Uncle Mikey, I've asked this to Dad, is why choose Ram? My dad talked about that it was you get to spend more time with your horses, while Uncle Mikey talked more about just the quality of the product. What would you like to add?
so my thoughts is that we started the company because being just horse owners as we are, we've never looked at ourselves any different than just horse owners with some experience and so forth with other people and their horses and that type of thing. So many people question what they should get and what product should they get. And a lot of times with horse owners, what happens is that, we get something and our horses just, are really hard on it. And sometimes the warranties and things like that do, tell people that, or will say, there's not much of a warranty with the product or whatever. But our whole goal was to make sure that people would get quality products that would be long lasting, that they know would be safer alternatives than other fences and stalls that are on the market. So our goal has always been, we're so passionate about any equestrian, whatever they are, any horse owner, whether it's from people who maybe purchase a little pony for their children to 4-Hers to all the way to large facilities. And our whole goal is to serve them the very best that we could and help them to make their own choices about what they need for their horse's particular needs. So that's a big thing for us, especially, like I said, having our own horses. We know what it's like to stand in those boots and to be in the barn and to work. And when our horses are sick or through the winter time, 365 days a year, we know what it is like. But most of all, we want something that's safer and long-lasting. So our biggest, my passion is with our customers are that they're horse owners, that to me there's a camaraderie between horse people. And I just feel that being able to share that common thing that we share, which is our passion for horses, that people, would like to know what's going to be long-lasting and safer. And that's what we're here for. And we'll always take that stand to help them understand how the products work, to help them know what the warranty covers, and to help them find the best thing that they can for their animals. And I've always said this, my whole life I've said it, there's nothing 100% foolproof with all horses, but you can find the best that you can get, and that's our goal, is to be able to provide that for horse owners.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
It's
having
fun
me.
to be here today. Yeah, all of us, yeah.
We hope you enjoyed listening to our podcast and encourage you to share with all of your equestrian family and friends. You can tune into the Late Night Riders podcast show every Friday night. Each episode will be uploaded exclusively on YouTube, where you can subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with our latest shows. Do you have a topic you'd like to discuss? We want to hear from you. You may email us at podcast@ramfence.com or feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you again for listening.